You know, when you're always like, I was today years old when I discovered this.
Yeah.
I still remember that when I was in my late teens, I thought that like a positive drug test was a good outcome.
What's positive?
You know, like your HIV test is positive. High five! Thank God. Passed with flying colours.
This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
All right, Emily, Stu, doing a show. Hello, good ma'am.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. It occurred to me that people say hello, good sir, but they don't really say hello, good ma'am. And that's sexist, yo.
I think that perhaps it's just implied that the woman is good, and it's important for people to specify the difference between the male of the species.
Always look on the bright side of life. That's what you do right there. I'm going to start a trend, though, with hello, good ma'am. I'm just going to start doing that with people in public that are female and not a pain in my ass. I will say hello, good ma'am, and it'll catch on. It'll be like so many other things I've started that haven't gone anywhere.
Amazing. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
There you go. It'll make its way across the coast, and you'll get it someday, and then you'll think of me.
I absolutely will. I'll be like, I know the guy that started that.
There you go. So this week, you would be proud of me. You know what I did?
Didn't succumb to the rage.
Yeah, actually. She's the queen of
Amazing.
YouTube out of context. This week, I got in an internet fight with a mentally disabled person, and I let it go. I pulled back. I didn't tear him a new asshole, which I was pretty proud of myself on.
Congratulations. What I'm taking away from this is you didn't beat up on somebody with a disability.
Yeah. I didn't know, though. So the point is, I didn't know, and I didn't beat up on them. It's not like I knew and then didn't beat up on them. It's more impressive that I backed off.
It is actually more impressive that you just managed to restrain yourself versus nearly did then realize, nearly did a Madonna get up and dance and then realize they're in a wheelchair and backpedaled. It's way better to
I have a little bit of a reputation,
just let it go. Well, good for you. It's
Well, I was
a
in
huge moment of personal growth.
I was in the Facebook podcasters group, and I was investigating that thing that you suggested with the animations. And I was like, hey, I was wanting to do something like that. And I found out there are time limitations. You can only do like 2 minutes, but I'm still looking into things. And I was explaining on this Facebook podcasters group what I wanted to do. And some guy just bursted in with use Hindenburg. Well, Hindenburg is a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So I just replied with, nah, I use Reaper, which is totally customizable. I can do things twice as fast. And he just wanted to argue with me and go back and forth. And I said, dude, I'm not going to get into a stupid DAW debate with you. And he said, cuss, C-U-S-S, you'd lose. And then I started investigating him, and I found out he had issues, and his podcast kind of sounds about the way you'd think it would. So I backed off, and I just left it there. And I thought, okay, good for me for at least taking that step. Normally, I would tear him a new asshole because that is me. But then I thought, and here's the point of where we're getting into a discussion. Though I did that, is that really the right thing to do? Because that dude, with whatever his issues are, just wants to be treated like anyone else. And if it were anyone else, I would probably tear him one. So am I doing him a justice? See how I look at this in an odd way?
Well, I think the question's valid, but I don't know about the scenario. So, for example, if this was... I'm going to try and think of a different scenario, but I do think that we should treat people equally. Right? Like not withhold certain opportunities or certain information or something based upon disabilities they may or may not have. So I think that's generally a good vibe. But I still, no matter how many times we talk about it, I still can't understand why you want to teach people a lesson with your valuable time. Because I'm like, man, your time is so valuable. You're not going to teach this fuckwit anything. They are not open to having their mind expanded. They are not open to improving themselves, like whatever. So you would probably make just about as much difference, except you might feel better if you went out the back and screamed into that leaking septic tank that you were just talking about. Just into the fucking stinky void.
Well, for the record, it's not my septic tank, and that's what has made this an okay week. Got through that off the air.
I don't know what's wrong with me
completely
today.
understand your point, but also there's the little bit of me that is like, okay, sometimes people learn things, and there's 10%, yes, I want to be right. I don't need to be right. I prefer to be right. And also, this is kind of a spectator sport. And maybe somebody else takes something from this and says that, yes, when we're talking about animations, we're not talking about a DAW. That's kind of like saying I need to drive my car using a hammer. There's two different things there. So yes, I want to teach them a lesson and also maybe others, and maybe I'm rationalizing it too much. I'm willing to look at that. It just occurred to me like, okay, they want to be like everybody else, so I should treat them like everybody else, but maybe the key is just be nicer to everybody, and I've tried to get my head around that, and sometimes it works.
Yeah, or ignore people, because that's the thing too. Any sort of energy you give them is helping them thrive. I think about these people, like the real numpties, the real dum-dums, as oxygen thieves. And so why give them any more oxygen? Just release them into the wild. But I can totally understand too how it must be incredibly cathartic. The times I have had these terrible fantasies of like, I don't know, pushing people into an open sewer or other fun things, or screaming at people until they cry and piss their pants. But I can never bring myself to do it.
I always say the numpty dance is the dance, so do the nump. You don't know that song really. It was a big hit song here. The Humpty Dance.
Oh, the Humpty Dance.
Yeah,
Okay.
the numpty dance is the dance, do the nump. We could do another parody of that for the show. All right. So the answer is there is no answer, and it just occurred to me that, okay, I'll let that guy go, and it was probably the right thing to do. And
I think it was probably the right thing to do.
and there's so many people doing bad podcasts. I hate that there's so many bad podcasts. It makes all of us seem like complete idiots, and it's the 15 minutes of fame that people were talking about, and I've brought this up before, but when I'm looking around at this stuff, I just see how so many people are doing them badly, and not everybody should be doing this, and sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be doing it. I'm self-critical, but also I'm just like, look at what you're doing. Why? People see this and they go, oh, you're doing a podcast. It didn't used to be that way 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah, I do. It's become a little bit more consumerist, a little bit more fast food. It was a bit more of an art and a science before. People invested a lot more time. Now, anyone can do it.
There's too much assumption that it's going to suck because people go, oh, podcast, and they think, oh, it's that guy talking into a laptop. Let's not do that. All right.
It's true.
There's my soapbox. Other than this, you know what I hate?
Oh, wow. There's not enough time in this show to address that question.
But also,
if you want to narrow it down for us.
yeah, April Fool's Day. That was this past week.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
stop
That doesn't
that.
exist to me.
Those that can do comedy, those that suck do April Fool's Day. And there was a thing I found here that kind of lined out some of the bigger companies that were doing wild April Fool's jokes that made us all laugh and just go, wow, that's clever. We'll start out with Elon Musk.
Oh, God.
He tweeted that he was going to join Disney as their chief DIE officer, that I don't even know what that means. But he was...
DEI?
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good that you know
Yeah.
that. He was going to be their DEI officer.
Okay,
and
I
he
see why that would be funny. Yeah.
can't wait to work with Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy to make their content more woke. Ha ha. And then it says, even the linguini which I don't understand, but that was his clever tweet. And I'm sure everybody bought that and went, wow, Elon, you're clever and funny. Those are words that never come out of people's mouths. And then he said, as we continue to celebrate transparency on this platform, all your DMs and drafts will be made public. We get he's doing that on April Fool's Day.
So funny.
You nump. I'm taking your words. Yeah, you nump. Oreo put out graphics and advertisements saying that they were now selling the wafer and the cream part of their cookies separately, and you were going to have to buy them separately if you wanted to assemble your own sandwiches.
I want to see Tampax selling roll your own kits.
That'd be good, though, because you could make it your own girth, the girth that you're accustomed to. And, okay, I need more cotton in there. I need a fourfold of cotton, and I'll roll that up, and that's actually a good idea. Let's go into business. Remember those joint roller things that they had in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
I remember that when I started working at Tower Records. They could totally have those for tampons, and I think there's something to that. Genius.
Yes, why not?
First name Gene, last name Yus.
Yes.
C4 Energy Drink is introducing the chicken and rice energy drink. That's a good one. I believe that every second of every day.
It's interesting. I wouldn't see that as being a weird flavor. The kids and I, we always go to Asian grocery stores and get the weirdest flavored chips we can, like squid ink or meat pie.
They have weird flavored Kit Kat bars, too.
Like green tea matcha and stuff. Yeah,
we used to
delicious.
have a thing at my office when I was in the office that we would try new stuff every week, and somebody had green tea Kit Kats. Like, okay, kind of weird.
Yeah, very big in Japan.
Go Japanese, you're a better people. 7-Eleven has Big Bite hot dog flavored sparkling water. They thought that would be funny. And wrapping it up, Krispy Kreme put out an ad that said that today only you can bring anything you want to one of the Krispy Kreme stores and they would glaze it for you. Anything at all. And there's like pictures of watermelons and tomatoes being glazed here because that's clever and funny.
Man, I want to see the glazed breasts of a 60-year-old man.
What?
Just take those tartars.
That's a very good clip that I can use over and over out of context. And really, in this case, it's not even in context. That's a good one right there.
They did say anything I want.
Oh.
So let's go find some jiggly old man tartars and glaze them up real good.
All right. Put that on the list, writing it down.
The Christmas list, I hope.
What's your situation? Anything fun and exciting this week? Anything new?
Not really. Just, work, busyness, all the things. My kids are on spring break, which is awesome. I love having the kids home. They've had a bunch of little mates over to play, which is always an absolute pleasure. Just seeing them have friends, and I make them little sandwiches and stuff. And I just really like it. And it's always right about now that other parents start taking to the internet going, when's this going to be over? Oh my God, are they going to be back at school on Monday? Whatever. And it makes me feel sad because I love having my kids home. I don't want them to rush off back to school. But then two, I feel sorry for any kids that ever get the sense that their parents are wishing them away.
And sometimes they sense that even if it's not said,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And now, I'm no saint. Sometimes my kids, they absolutely do annoy me, and I'm pretty upfront about it. But generally speaking, I'm much happier if our whole little family unit is all together in the same house. Even if we're alone, but together, I just prefer it.
I think that it's very possible that you just have better kids than many, but I don't think that just happened. I think you probably have better kids than many because you've raised them right and you've raised them logically and in a nurturing way rather than sit them there and throw them in front of the TV. That's just outside looking in.
That's what I'm hoping for. It's really interesting. They're getting older now. And, they're on Discord and all of these gaming platforms, and they have phones and iPads, and they text with their friends and all of this type of stuff. And I regularly go through all of their messaging just to see what's being sent around and whatever. But I have an agreement with my eldest. No one ever gets in trouble for anything that's being sent back and forth or whatever. I don't care. And he sends some pretty spicy jokes. And that I've even said to him, it's a bit grown up, but that is genuinely funny. I'll allow it.
So you can look at his stuff, but he won't get in trouble for it, bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. But because my policy is I'm there to make sure that I'm there to help protect him from other people.
Right.
And if I start policing him just being a boy and soon to be being a teenage boy, he won't trust me and he'll hide things from me. I don't want him to ever have to hide who he is from me. And we have really open conversations about stuff. I'm like, some people are going to send you content that is inappropriate for you at this time in your life, but it may not be inappropriate for you as you get older. But it's up to your dad and I to help you navigate those waters. And so mostly for things like Discord or Roblox or whatever, if people just send him messages, I want to see what sort of stuff he's getting exposed to. Now, thankfully, luckily, touch wood, he hasn't had any really bad stuff yet.
Does he know that you look at it regularly, or did you just have the conversation that you were going to, and now you've kind of let it go and it's not something that comes up very often?
No, we look at it together.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just do spot checks. Like last night as he was going to bed or whatever, I was like, all right, log into your platforms. And I don't want it to be weird or a secret, and we sit there side by side. I click through anything, and if I have any questions about stuff, I ask him, and if he has any questions about stuff, he asks me. There was one particular thing that I held up, and I was like, tell me about this. And he's like, yeah, that one's not good, and I can delete it if you want. And I'm like, well, you can't delete it because you've already sent it. This one's probably a little bit more mature, and there was a particular word in it, and I said to him, you may not know what that word means or anything. It was the N word.
I was going to guess fuckface. I was going to say fuckface, but okay.
It was like this weird thing where all these words were all jumbled up and everything. And anyway, he sent it. There was a whole bunch of mature content in there, but some of the things he may not have known that
inside
that was
joke kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of thing. And then he sent it over to one of his friends, and I was like, just so you know, do you know what that one is? And he's like, I don't. I'm like, well, that one is a very derogatory word, and it's a really bad word, and some people get really offended by it. So you probably don't want to be doing that. And he's like, good to know.
And he's preteen at this point?
Yeah, preteen.
See, I would think once you're getting into the teens, looking at his stuff is going to become more of a struggle. And then that also leads to the thing that you have this agreement that he won't get in trouble for anything. What if you see something that you have to act on, like, hey, somebody's bringing a gun to school, or this girl is pregnant, or really serious stuff? Do you then break that and tell him you're going to break that agreement, or how do you handle that?
Well, the two scenarios that you've given me are things where, one, I'm pretty confident that he would tell me that proactively. But he's never going to get in trouble for telling me those things. And they also have to do with somebody else. For example, let's say, fast forward, and he got somebody pregnant. He would get in trouble if we found out from someone else. But if he told us, took responsibility, all of that kind of stuff, then we just deal with it together. The policy is you don't get in trouble for calling us or telling us or whatever. We also have a policy, like when he's older, no matter what, any time of the day or night, no matter how bad the situation is or anything, you call us, we will come and get you, and we will not talk about it until another time. Like if he's drunk or on drugs, we will come and get any of your friends. We'll come and get you, and we won't make a scene, and we'll just deal with it.
It'll be interesting to see how that works out, because I'm not just saying this to blow smoke, but I think you are a better parent than many. And then I also think that I had that same agreement with my mom, and then I drove drunk on a scooter. So it'll be interesting to see how that balances with the teenage years coming up.
Oh, they're definitely going to do that. They're definitely going to make mistakes. They're definitely going to do things that are funny. It was really interesting, actually, one of the quotes from last night. Because I'm really open with him. I said, look, someone, maybe one or more people at some point are going to send you inappropriate content. I said, one of the favorite things of creepos on the internet to do is to send photos of their private parts. And he was like, oh God, no one's done that yet. And I'm like, okay, cool. So just for future reference, that could happen. And I want you to tell me if it ever happens. I said, also, just as like a way future thing, don't ever send anybody picture of your privates, because it might seem like a good idea at the time, but once it's out there forever. And he started laughing, and he's like, yeah, feels inappropriate right now. He said, and when I'm a grown up, I'll make the decision that's right for me. He said, but I don't think that decision's ever going to be right for me.
And the truth is, really only dudes send pics of their private parts thinking it's a good idea. Women will do it under duress in a relationship, and even then they don't really want to do it, and guys are just idiots with that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I need to get the education in early around that. But
you might want to check with the local college there and see if you could get a part-time job, because you don't have enough already, and you could be a teacher and teach Dick Pics 101. That could be a new sideline for you.
Why not? I really think that I think like the 101 course can be sort of introduction, and then 102 should be retaliation. And the course for that is anytime you get unsolicited dick pics is you just start sending back bigger, fatter, filthier dicks.
I had a gay friend for a while that I was sending fake dick pics to, and he didn't buy it. No, that one can't be you. That doesn't match with what your face is. It's like, wow, you're an expert.
Kind of.
I was combing the internet trying to find something that might be accurate, and it didn't work out. I was found out.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another thing. Like, while we're talking about private parts on the internet, the thing that is still unfathomable to me, and I'm trying to think about stuff, is many young women today, it is more lucrative to explore being an OnlyFans person than to, say, be a teacher or whatever. There are a bunch of teachers leaving the profession to become OnlyFans folks. And I wonder if people think it's going to be okay when their kids find out, or these sorts of things. This, we've talked about this. I'm a prude. I'm sex positive in a sense that I don't see there being anything wrong with it. If that's what they want to do, I'm happy for them to make that choice and whatnot. I just find it such an interesting choice. If you ever want to be a mother, if you ever, I don't know, it just seems like a lot. Thoughts?
I'm confused on that as you are. How do you be a normal person in life and do that? And maybe they just run in a circle where that doesn't matter, or they don't think it's ever going to matter. But then I also don't understand how that is a thing. I don't understand how people make money on that, because one, you're tuning into somebody doing that on the internet, and I don't know how that does anything for you. And I also don't understand why you would pay for that when porn is free and you can see the real thing for free, kind of. And why would you pay for that every month? And therefore, how does somebody else make a living off of that? To me, it just boggles my mind. It's like, okay, somebody's getting paid for that and somebody's paying for that. How can that be?
Yeah. And the anonymity of it all is kind of one-sided. I read this news article about these two women who were best friends. One of them, OnlyFans content producer. The best friend discovered that her husband had been subscribing to her best friend's OnlyFans.
Ooh.
The friend didn't know that her best friend's husband was doing, because it's anonymous apparently. Yeah. And it caused the breakup of the marriage and the breakup of like a really long-term friendship. And I just think, oh, what a shame.
And then here's me being judgy in this thing. Is a part of subscribing to OnlyFans, don't you get to interact with them a little bit? Can't you like text and type stuff to them and that kind of thing? I think you can.
But anonymously.
Okay. Because maybe a little bit of the weird empty fantasy is I'm going to interact with them and they're going to think I'm a great guy and I'm going to get some of that. And that's just not even real, because beyond that, none of it makes any sense, you know?
No, it's lunacy. But yeah, I agree.
All right.
I don't get it.
Well, we have a big event, solar eclipse, coming Monday.
I'm so excited.
I was going to ask if you had any plans to look at the sun and the moon and that kind of thing.
I do.
Yeah.
And I've ordered the glasses for my children. And I have genuinely considered driving 6 hours to be in the path of totality.
Because where you are, there's not really anything to see. That's kind of the case where I am. Is it the more southern areas of the country, even disregarding the coast, that's the case? You got to be more north?
Yeah, it's more in the middle of the country, middle and north, that are going to get the best view, like Indianapolis as an example. That's a very, very long way from where we are. But part of me is like, what if we got on a plane and just went to go and see it?
Could you, if you got on a plane, follow the eclipse? Get to a place where it starts good but then stays good based on the way your plane is flying? That would be the business to do right now. Get a special flight for that going and charge up the ass.
So did you know that Delta actually did that? They filled up the first flight so quickly that they put a second flight on, and they're flying the aircraft that they have with the largest windows. And I think it's going from Detroit to somewhere else. I don't know where it is. And that plane is going to go. They got 2 flights.
See, I was going to say, then you need a glass top plane, but they couldn't get that together. We need to plan for that next time, Delta. Let's do some of that glass top plane. And ooh, look at the sky. Go with that.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. I don't know how much the tickets are, but I can almost guarantee the answer is too much.
Yeah. Supply and demand, and once every 30 years event and that kind of thing. And
absolutely.
If we could only have a solar eclipse on April Fool's Day, think of all the things we could do with that, all the screwery that could happen.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So nerve-wracking.
And remember, we had a president that we told not to look at the sun, but then he looked at the sun anyway. Remember Trump looking up at the sun, and we said, okay, that kind of surmises everything about him. And maybe we should encourage him to do it more. Do you think we could encourage him to do it more?
Potentially. He seems like he's not going to pay attention to anything that anybody says. And
except,
so
I guess we'd have to use reverse psychology, tell him you can't look at the sun, and then he's such a dick. He would say, well, I'm going to look at the sun because I'm Trump, and then we could have a blind candidate, and then even his people would still probably vote for him, that being the case.
Definitely. I don't think that him being blind is the worst part.
Right. I think what we need to do is try to get him to try his hand at cleaning a firearm. I think that would be the best way to go with him. Try to get him to do that inexperienced.
Yeah, I still wish that we would just do away with the whole Antiques Roadshow and get some new candidates in.
That's a good way to describe it. There's people saying still that can happen on the Democrat side, and God damn it, Michelle Obama, let's go. I'm kind of skeptical that they're going to bring somebody out. I almost feel like, and this is a weird conspiracy thing, maybe they're going to let something really bad happen to Joe Biden, or say that something bad happened, and then say, oh, okay, he can't do it now. We thought he could, so here's your candidate. And, there's going to be angels singing, and there's going to be somebody that's really viable that somebody gives a shit about that might do a good job, because it's also not that Harris person.
Who could it possibly be, though? I don't know if we have any good candidates.
You know who
Anywhere.
would be good, but I think he's kind of perceived as being too inexperienced now, and he doesn't seem like he wants to do it. But one of the most together people that I've ever seen in press conferences that is smart and gets his point across is that Pete Buttigieg guy. He's very sharp. He'd be great, I think. And I think one day he will be the guy for election anyway, but I think not right now. But I'm bothered by our world.
Me too. I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah,
but
you're a whole foreigner, so it's totally different for you.
Yeah. But, Vivek Ramaswamy, I watched him in the debate. I don't know any of these Democratic presidential primary folks like Marianne Williamson.
That Vivek guy was just completely full of shit and spouting conspiracy crap everywhere. And
yeah.
So we got 10 more months, 8 more months. I had to do math in my head there. Yeah. None of them are good. Anyway, I have this that came up, and it can be a new feature as needed, and it's called Stu's Musical Snobery. You can tell me if you disagree here or if I have a valid point, and I'm open to it. And these are things that I think of based on my musical opinion. You can agree or disagree.
Thank God. Lay it on me.
Not very often on this show that we allow you your own opinion. So,
exactly.
Mark this moment.
Mark this day.
God damn it. Agree or disagree, I was listening and I heard bumper music coming into a talk show the other day, and it occurred to me that the Black Keys are the Steely Dan of a new generation, and I'll explain that. In my opinion, the Black Keys being the Steely Dan of a new generation means good musicians, but super boring, nothing really dynamic happening, and kind of soulless. Am I alone in that?
I haven't really kept up with the Black Keys.
Okay.
I only remember their first album where they got really famous.
Right.
But then I haven't seen much of them after that. But great musicians.
Yeah, I absolutely hear great musicians, and then I hear 3 different songs and I say, is that the same song? And then I think there's nothing that really moves me in that music. I hear it and I go, okay, that's pretty good, but I would never listen to it on my own. It's just coming in before the talk show host talks, and boring, kind of.
And boring. I think the album that I'm thinking of is El Camino.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought I liked them for a while, and then I didn't, because it was all like one big song of the 18.
Yeah, I can neither agree nor disagree with that. I think you might be onto something. If we spent a little bit of time, we could probably think of other bands that are like that as well.
I'll give you one, and this just came to me now. Ed Sheeran, I kind of feel that way about Ed Sheeran. I feel like he's good, has talent, but I can't tell one of his songs from another, and none of it makes me go, yeah, I need to hear that. And I think maybe he panders to more of a female audience. Is that accurate? Because I would know very few dudes that are into Ed Sheeran.
I think his career has gone sort of rock, folk, and then pop, and sort of pop collaborations and that kind of thing. So it's in a similar sort of arc to Maroon 5. Like Maroon 5, let me just say this, they used to be good.
Yeah.
They used to be good, and they used to be a good rock band. And at that time, I think they had a lot more of a diverse audience. Ed Sheeran, same, more rock. Then over time, they became too poppy and too famous. And now it's Beatlemania. It's just all the ladies.
Very overproduced, and I feel like that lead singer's a little bit of a self-involved dick with all of his "look at me" tattoos. I'm on the Super Bowl.
Fuckwit.
Yeah.
Absolute fuckwit.
Yeah. I'll give you this. What do you think about this statement? Maroon 5 on its way to being the new Nickleback. Nickelback for a new generation,
yes.
Maroon 5.
Yes, have it.
All right. We have made great strides here today in our musical conversation. This has been Stu's Musical Snobbery. More soon when I think of it.
Yeah. I'd almost, at this point, prefer to listen to a Nickelback song than lay eyes on Adam Levine.
That big hit was kind of fun. No, the blind man. It was all right. I can't hate them. And I feel bad for that Kroger guy a little bit. I mean, sure, he got to bang Avril Lavigne, but, whatever.
Avril Lavigne?
Yeah.
Underrated.
I agree. That first record was just well-produced enough. Not a single song on there is bad. Here's the thing I'll admit. That goddamn Skater Boy song, love it. It's so much fun. So fun.
Much fun.
Go listen to the Skater Boy.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's a jam.
Yep.
Someone else, underrated, didn't deserve all the controversy. Kesha.
Boy, I gotta disagree there.
She was way better back in the day. Like, I saw clips of her flogging her music before she got famous, like in Japan, filming her own clips and stuff in the mid-2000s. Good. Interesting. And then she just got crunched up by the machine.
It seemed to me like her first record with the hit, which I thought was terrible and
TikTok?
not fun. Just I didn't need to be a part of that. And I actually listened to the whole record. And for me, I said, there's not a lot here for me. And then it seems like she had that hit and didn't have anything else. And they got desperate to try to get another hit. So they chased that. And then Me Too happened and she tried to say that she got Me Too'd. I don't know that she didn't, but that was a big thing that got disputed and she got lost in that. And the last time I saw her where I thought she was terrible was at the tribute concert for Taylor Hawkins, where she stumbled out and was clearly on lots of substances. And if this was going to be her big comeback, boy, that didn't happen, and in very poor taste at Taylor Hawkins Memorial to be off your chops, I think. Yeah, based on all the great musicians that were there and all the great things that happened. And that was based on his musical interest and all the great things he did as a drummer and stuff that he was into. It's like, okay, you want to do
as a
good things
recovering addict,
there.
just shitting on his legacy.
Oh, that's your main point. Yeah, the fact that he died because of substance. Okay.
Boink. Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we can move on to this. There is a new baseball mascot.
I can't wait.
With
we have such a long history of having great mascots in this country.
Yeah.
Please, what have we got?
Here's the news report, and just so you know, there is just so much chuckle fuck in this news report. Get ready for it, because it's Fox News talking about sports.
Oh, God.
Baseball is going to the Hogs. Joey knows I'm right. Baseball is going to the Hogs in the Twin Cities. The St. Paul Saints minor league team introducing their new ball pig for the season. Get this, his name is Ozempig.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
That's actually funny.
And the club says he's getting into the best shape of his life. He follows in the footsteps of other ball pig legends, including Ham Solo, Kevin Bacon, and the notorious P.I.G.
So, Ozempig is the new mascot, and how do you think that went over?
We're still in America. So, as much as I want to say, that's amazing, everyone's into it, what I think actually probably happened is that all of the people who are using Ozempic for its off-brand weight loss option rather than the type 2 diabetes drug that it's actually designed for probably got upset and bent out of shape because people are making fun of them being fat, which they're not. And then maybe, just maybe, the pharmaceutical company got involved and then tried to sue them. And now maybe they're going to have to change the name or something. I don't know. I'm so disenchanted with just the collective outrage of the dredges of society. How far off am I?
I just want to check this and just verify for the thing. You don't know this story ahead of time. You haven't seen anything about this, correct?
No.
Okay.
But I did have to look up what a mascot is, and it's similar to, it's like an animal. It's an actual animal, like a dog or a pig, an actual pig. It's not the person in the costume,
It
right?
can be both, actually. A mascot can be in the costume, or it can be a real pig. Ozempig, like they came up with cleverly. I wanted to verify that because you are basically right, except for the part where the drug makers got involved. Almost immediately after this, the team announced that criticism began pouring in on social media from people distressed by the name, calling it hurtful and insensitive. Who's bothered by this? Shut up, you fat fucks. If you're somebody that is really bothered by a clever, fun Ozempic name, and you're really going to go to social media to make an issue out of it, go somewhere else and really work out your issues, because it's nobody else's issue other than your own. And don't eat the shit sandwich that I constantly talk about where you decide you're offended.
Honestly, they should just take a look in the mirror and punch themselves in the face.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this. People were so upset that, okay.
It's clever. I think it's genuinely funny. And Ham Solo, that's how I got the gist that it was like a series of animals. It's like, these are funny and clever.
Notorious P.I.G. is great.
Oh, that's another absolute golden name. See, these are fantastic. Whoever's naming these pigs, legend.
As much as we go on about dumb, stupid crap that happens in marketing, especially with all the April Fool's stuff we talked about, this happens and it's kind of clever, but people are upset about it. So now people are going to be wary of doing anything clever ever again because somebody's going to be bothered, you know?
Well, what would have been better, again, is, okay, if we're doing 101, class 101, dealing with outrage is identifying it. Class 102 is revenge. So, retaliation. Then what they should say is, due to overwhelming feedback on the name of Ozempig, we will be slaughtering it publicly on the mound at the season opener.
We've heard your thoughts and we agree. We're taking this pig out.
Yep, exactly. We're also going to have a public stoning of the marketing intern for this clearly unfunny name. And then people are like, oh, you can't kill the pig. Well, you can't rename a pig either. Like, once the pig has a name, it's got a name.
It hurts its psyche.
It must be killed.
Yeah.
And then come up with another one. Or have they renamed the pig, or now are they just calling it Pig of Public Opinion?
I like it. I'm thinking, do you do that with a spit then? Do you make it like a Hawaiian barbecue where you put them on a spit after the fact? Does that make a good public display? And when you do that, how do you handle the PETA people? Because then they're going to come out, and I like some of their work, but some of them, they're crazy fuckers. But how do you handle that when the PETA people are upset?
I have no idea, but let's do it in a way that's going to make them more upset.
We're poking the bear today. And ooh, that's ironic that it involves poking the bear with PETA. The people that are upset by this, is this the people that balloon up to be 600 pounds and then insist that airlines have to give them special seats on their airplanes? Is that the same person? And is that unreasonable?
Yes.
To me, the give me free seats is unreasonable.
People have lost touch with what they should and shouldn't be entitled to.
Right. I'm 600 pounds. You need to cater to my needs. So give me 2 seats. And also I'm going to need room for my support animal, which is an ostrich on the plane. Let's work that out because I'm needy and you must cater to me.
There was genuinely, and I believe it was United, they had to turn away an emotional support. Crikey, I've just forgotten the name of the bird.
Crikey.
The name of the bird. What's the bird? What's the peacock? Yeah, the peacock with the big tails. An emotional support peacock. Do you think that I have to feel like people who are doing that are the next Sacha Baron Cohen? No one's taking that shit fucking seriously. Right. Here's my emotional support peacock. Are you having a laugh? Clearly you are. Here's my emotional support otter. Here's my emotional support pig. I think pigs are a little bit closer to dogs, but what other ridiculous animal?
People have had snakes and all kinds of things have come up.
Emotional support snake.
It's come up on airplanes. And to me, half the people that do it with their dogs are full of shit, and you should have to provide some kind of documentation that you really do need them. And I think it's very few people that are few and far between that really benefit from the dog being there and it calms them down. I think they exist, but I think it's not as widespread and people use it as an excuse to take their dog on a trip.
I agree. And I think that it gives service animals a bad name. If a service animal is a highly trained animal.
Yep.
I see some of these dogs in vests and they're making a mockery of the whole institution. Badly behaved, barking at other dogs, not being in a perfect heel position. I mean, we should take them all out to the mound with Ozempig. Fucking kill them all. Then feed it. Feed it to the fatties afterwards.
Hamily looks on the bright side of life.
If we had a pig mascot, I think we should call it Hamily.
I like that a lot. Hamily.
Hamily, I'd make it wear big earrings and fake lashes. It could live happily ever after.
And then, you know what you could do? The new marketing slogan would be, well, you can put lipstick on a pig.
Exactly. If we had one, it could be called Stew Pig Hamily.
That would be the combo. Stew pig, Hamily.
Yeah, or Stew Pig Idiot.
Oh, my God. We have just got some brilliance happening here in today's show. It's not much better.
What are they going to name it to that's not going to offend people,
There's
though?
nothing. Somebody will be offended by something always.
Porky the Peacemaker.
But then it's porky, and then you're kind of saying that it's okay to eat meat that's pork, and then you're still kind of traumatizing fat people a little bit because of the word pork. You know what the answer is? The answer is fuck these people and their stupid sensitivities.
Well, they're going to end up with no mascots.
And we can't have that in this world, goddammit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are bent out of shape even for the fact that there is a mascot.
Yeah, there's somebody somewhere that is very upset that we're even doing this because it trivializes something and makes fun of something that I don't have in my head right now.
Do you remember, you watched Ted Lasso, right? We love that show.
Ooh, okay, here's a point of contention. I started to watch it because I heard how great it was, and it just felt so nothing to me. I felt like it was so shiny and happy that I saw that it was good and people in it were good, but it just didn't move me at all, I guess.
Fair enough. So you won't remember the episode where I'm going to talk about, but the team had a mascot, which is how I know about this mascot, and it was a greyhound because the team is the Greyhounds. And so when they would score a goal or whatever, the greyhound would do a lap or something like that. Anyway, there is an episode where one of the team members accidentally hits the dog with a soccer ball and kills it. Takes the mascot clean out.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
How did they handle it? What did they do?
Oh, I think they just got another one. But the guy was devastated. And so it was a recurring theme of this guy. He just kept choking because he'd killed this poor greyhound. But you have to imagine it happens. Isn't there's some mascots around, they're like horses or something, and they do laps. I've heard of a falcon.
I think there's all kinds of different mascots, and they are both regular animals and sometimes the people in dumb suits. That's called a mascot. In high schools, the people in the suits are a big thing with.
Oh, and they keep it a secret and all that sort of stuff. Mascots, I mean, great. But if you really want to make a difference, I saw a volunteer job and I thought to myself, I'm going to do that when I get some free time and get a bit older. Do you want to know what it is?
Walmart greeter? Because I've thought, if I really get in a place where I need to do something, I might be a Walmart greeter.
I was going to say, there are way easier ways for me to start a fist fight with you. I don't have to go via the fucking Walmart greeter route.
It would be ironic because I think all Walmart employees are terrible, and then I would become one.
Yeah, exactly. The hunter has become the hunted.
There you go.
I could, if that ever happened, I'd call somebody for an intervention. There'd be a welfare check.
It'd almost be better to commit a crime to get thrown in jail so you have some place to live rather than be a Walmart greeter. Is that too judgy? Maybe.
I mean, a little bit, but it's become so much a part of your personality now. You can never go back for it. It's almost like a tattoo that you got, like a facial tattoo or a neck tattoo. You can't get it removed.
I'm making progress with the guy on Facebook, though, so I'm very proud.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about the progress that you made last week. But the role that I think is just the best thing since floating soap, right, is there's a guy in where I'm from, and he's a volunteer, and he takes around a drinks cart, like an alcoholic drinks cart, to people in the palliative care ward once a week. And he mixes people drinks, or he'll give them a beer, he'll make them a G&T, he'll give them a little Baileys or something like that. And I just think that that is quite lovely. And what a great thing to do for people who are on their last legs and probably alone, and they're in a hospital and it's all very blah, and you can only get shit food and you probably can't be with your family. And I'm not a big drinker, but I know for some people that could be a real highlight. And so when I grow up, I'm going to try and do that.
My first question that I already know the answer to is, they allow that? Yeah. The hospitals allow you to take a booze cart around and give it to people?
In Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
definitely.
All right. There's the difference right there. Because, there, you can give it to a 3-year-old or something, probably.
Don't be stupid.
Isn't Australia like France? They can have wine with dinner their entire life. In Australia, they just give you whiskey starting at 3 years old. Isn't that the way it works?
Well, some people do put babies' teats in brandy to help them sleep.
There you go.
I've never done that. Not really big on me, but okay. So let's talk about this. Some probably could get arrested for doing it in this country. However, I and my husband agree that we want to know what type of drunk our kids are, and also we don't want there to be inhibitions, and we don't want them to get into trouble, and we want them to grow up with a healthy respect for alcohol. And so at some point in time, when they are in their early teens, we will permit them to have a sip of beer or wine or something like that. And over the holidays or whatever, if they want to have half a glass of wine with Christmas dinner, or champagne or something like that under our supervision, I am 100% okay with that. And then they'll get to know what it feels like. They'll get to learn their limits. The mystery will be removed. And
there's not a thing to want to do it because your parents don't want you to.
Exactly.
No rebellion.
No rebellion. And sure, are they going to go out and get shit-faced at some point, throw up on themselves? Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. But I think it's less likely that they'll end up in, really big trouble, or that they'll be too afraid to call us if they are in trouble.
Absolutely agree.
If it's a big taboo thing.
Probably you don't let them have friends over and supply alcohol. You're not going to be doing that.
No fucking way.
Right.
People will be like, but I'm a cool mum. I am not a fucking cool mum. I'm not their friend. I am their supporter, but I am their parent. And no fucking way is anybody else's kid bringing their shit around. There's no vaping, there's no smoking, there's no getting anybody pregnant in my house.
There's so much bad that can come from being a cool mom. And there's that you get the law involved at that point because it happens, you know?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Actually, interestingly, there was some drama at my kids' school just before the break. A teacher that had been fired the year prior got on TikTok and was just... She's not okay. She's mentally ill, obviously, but she was spouting all sorts of bullshit.
Wow.
So, as you can imagine, what did I do? Watched every single TikTok she's ever produced because I wanted to get inside her mind. And it became very clear to me very quickly that this is the type of woman who ends up going to prison for being a pedophile. She's 34 years old, and yet she dresses like she's, 15, and she's making TikToks and addressing the students, talking like she's 12, 13, 14 years old. And I just think, I am so glad that she got fired. And I am terrified at the thought that people like this exist. Just an absolute lunatic with no boundaries.
What is the deal with female teachers lately more and more getting busted for sleeping with their students? How has that been happening more and more? Is it that it's happening more and more, or is it just that we're finding out about it? Because it seems like way more of a thing.
Yeah, I think that, like with most things, incest, any sort of pedophilia, any sort of bad behavior, serial killing, all that kind of stuff, it's not that it's happening more. It's that there's more news media that talks about it. We just hear about it more, but it's not necessarily happening more per capita. I do think that, like any sort of cheating or any of that sort of stuff, social media makes it so much easier. And there's a whole bunch of journal articles that have been written about that type of behavior and private messaging tools and all of that kind of stuff. And it creates an environment that sort of dank shit can thrive, almost like turds in a basement, growing mushrooms. So that can help facilitate that sort of grotty behavior. But I'm glad they're getting caught. Throw them in prison. Disgraceful. Disgraceful.
As we do this show, it often occurs to me that we very much take the middle ground on things, and I feel like we hear about the extreme idiots in the world on one side or the other, but that most people really are like us and in the middle, but we don't hear that voice because it doesn't create clicks. And I think there needs to be something done about that. Maybe it can never happen because maybe it's not exciting enough to get clicks, but it seems like most people, at least the ones I know, are just pretty logical, normal people that aren't offended by a pig.
Right? I wish, and maybe this could be our new crusade, but it is, wait a minute. Okay, so how would you feel? Let's run for the presidency, and our entire platform is a more nuanced and balanced approach to outrage. Just like we're just a bit more middle of the road people. Let's look at a problem from multiple angles. Let's be kind to people. Let's have empathy. Let's say no to dickheads.
Let's put people in jail for doing crimes, and also all of what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Hurt a child, get thrown into a tar pit.
Forever.
Yeah. Well, you'd die. So, yeah. Great.
Oh, you die in a tar pit? Okay, hang on. Writing that down. Dying in the tar pit, thrown in.
Haven't you ever seen, do you remember that show, Dinosaurs? Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama.
I do.
Know you and I are both old enough to have watched that show.
I do, yeah.
And you know how the people would get old enough and then they would push all the old people into the tar pit?
I'm remembering that now. Now I get the reference. Yeah. So if we're doing that, we're running for president. Who is the president? Who is vice president? Oh.
You can be the president. I do not want to be the leader of anything. I'm more of a, if this is a float, I'll drive the float. I'll be in the engine room, but somebody else has got to be the face of this thing. I have zero interest in being that. I don't want photos taken of me. I don't want to be famous. I don't want any of that. I just want to get busy doing the work and having it be awesome.
I'm with that, but then I also feel like you're the smart one. I feel like I'm logical and I get stuff and I'm not stupid, but I feel like you know more stuff than I do.
I think that maybe you're less agreeable than me too. So I feel like you could be the one that like starts and finishes fights. But
yeah, how's
I
that
could
foreign
be the
policy going to go? Jesus.
Yeah, but I could be the one who helps come up with the strategy to tell you who we need to fight and who we don't need to fight, or what we want to try and get them to do. Like we can come up with that together, and then you could do that.
I will be, it's good cop, bad cop. I will be the one to say to that foreign leader, listen here, fuckface, and I'll start to go. And then you'll come in after being good cop and say, okay, we've talked about it and here's what we've worked out. And you just have to understand he's a little bit reactionary, but also has firm beliefs. And we've kind of reached a compromise and we're going to do this. I kind of like it.
But also I will say, but Vladimir Putin, sir, when I said that he should also get the hookers you can piss on, I was not joking.
Yeah.
This is a fucking outrage.
Okay. This needs to be part of our election thing. I am not into water sports. Don't need any of that. No. You freaks.
Oh, gross, right? It can't be for me. I don't understand. Again, I don't want to kink shame anyone. It is a general level of disbelief for me. I cannot see how any of that is sexy. It has to be the degradation element, which is all fucked up. Like it has to be basically hurting another person that they get off on if they're into like peeing and pooping on people. It's just so weird and creepy and gross.
To me, I look at it and I say, yeah, that's gross. And then if you could somehow get past the gross part of it, what charges you up sexually about that? How does that do something for you? And I have no answer. It's just weird and like, whew, okay. I get, hey, stilettos, that's hot. I don't get peeing on somebody.
No, I do not get that at all.
All right, well, here's the part where I eloquently wrap up the show. Show done. I got that. It's the one thing, well, a couple things. I feel like I'm saying you know a lot. I need to watch out for my you knows. And also I need to come up with a good wrap up for the show that it sounds natural. And so far, all I've got is show done.
I think that what the listeners would really appreciate is some sort of air horn. And we should finish the show at a different time each week so they can never predict it.
10 minutes in. I have an air horn, actually, because I've had to deal with some of my neighbors.
I know you've got one. It's probably still got gas in the canister.
Sure does. I had to use it about a week ago.
I'm going to tell you how this goes. I haven't started it yet, but I'm starting to sign off my emails at work as an absolutely unhinged psychopath.
That's great because people know you're joking, but they also kind of think, hey, she's going through some stuff. I'm going to work with her and try to make sure that things go well for her.
Yeah, exactly. So, da-da-da-da-da. Always fast, never furious, Emily.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
And then there's the sound of an engine revving.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got to think up some funnier ones.
Probably can't be offensive. That limits me.
Well, I don't know. We're pretty relaxed here over at the place where I am employed currently anyway.
We do things a little bit differently at this office. Maria Bamford, great comedian, has a joke about getting hired as a temp and always going through the orientation. And they say, we do things a little bit different at this office. And just how it's still very like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I always joke when people are like, we are we're more like a family.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's really bad because families are fucked up.
Yeah.
There are some power dynamics that are off. People are going to cry. There is nepotism. That doesn't sound like a good place. They're going to push you beyond your limits. They're going to pay you peanuts, and there will be tears.
Look over your shoulder.
Yep, while you're getting fucking... No. I'm gonna back out of that.
Yeah. We all know where you were going. You don't have to say it to say it sometimes.
Yeah, it's true, because that is, I think, what happens in corporate America a lot these days. I'm a member of some of these professional groups, and recently I've been absolutely appalled by the way that people treat other people at work. What is wrong with these people? I just have to assume hurt people hurt people. And so I feel sorry for these absolute monsters in some way, but I just think it is diabolical.
I think it's something that has
monsters.
progressed and gotten slowly worse over the years, especially with COVID, and it's become more acceptable, so that keeps getting pushed a little bit more. And until somebody gets sued, they don't care.
Well, exactly. But I just go back to that age-old point that we keep making on the show. If you had to say it to my fucking face, you'd be less likely to do it. Everyone's tough till they get punched in the mouth. Because I think, like, you can send a lot of stuff on email or chat or whatever, but if you had to go over and be like, hey, Janice, go fuck yourself, it would be totally different, I think. But we should have a... what's that movie where they get to kill people? The Purge, once a year?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a set of horror films called The Purge.
Okay.
And it's about this society where in the future or something, once a year, it becomes legal to kill whoever you want. And people will go out hunting for people. Now, I've never actually watched the movie because I'm too scared, but I've heard of the concept and I've seen shorts for it and that kind of stuff. But I think that for every company, there should also be like a Festivus type occasion where we have the feats of strength, and anyone who's got beef has to get into the ring in a giant sumo costume or a bubble until one person gives up. And then whoever wins, everyone has to take that person's side. They become the victor.
They are the man on the totem pole or the woman on the totem pole. Exactly.
And the other person just has to eat shit.
We have so many good ideas here today. We are brilliant.
In unrelated news, we have also opened up the Total Babble Corporate Retreat. And employee engagement coaching service.
We here at the TBCR are very willing to work with people and really make moves in this society.
Exactly.
Show done. She gave gang signs. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Threads. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.
I want to see the glazen breasts of a 60-year-old man.